Blade Runner, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Tron, Conan the Barbarian, Poltergeist, John Carpenter's The Thing, and Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And what do all these movies have in common? Well, you know, they all came out in 1982. And for the past 4 decades, we've been watching these movies over and over again. But as we are about to discover, watching them was only the beginning. My name is Scott Nance, and I'm a film critic, or as I like to call it, a film enthusiast. I'm a fan, and I am so excited to announce the start of a campaign so we can start filming a documentary called 1982 Greatest Geek Year Ever. We're going to be bringing you an in-depth, fascinating, and totally gonzo look at the greatest geek year ever, 1982. We're going to be traveling the globe, interviewing the stars, the filmmakers, and the super fans. So support us and help us by going to our Indiegogo campaign. And as an incentive, I hope you'll check out some of the great backers rewards so you can help us get to the finish line and we can all party like it's 1982.
For more on 1982 Greatest Geek Year Ever, visit 1982movies.com or check us out on social at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
If you're a fan of the 430 movie, you'll love Best Movies Never Made, hosted by myself, Josh Miller.
And Steven Scarlatta,
where we explore some of the greatest movies never made, like E.T. 2,
Johnny Quest,
Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian,
and Halloween 3D.
New episodes available every other Monday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, this is Mark A. Altman, and this is the 430 movie. And welcome to Do You Feel Lucky Punk Week? Do you feel lucky? Did I nominate 5 films or only 4? I don't know.
Oh, man, I was going to say that when you introduced me. Now I have to think of something else.
You'd be using all the lines.
I'm sorry, but I'll go to you last. How about that?
That's
pick you
Schwarzenegger.
That's right. That's for Schwarzenegger week.
Me last.
So I'm going to start. I'm going to mix things up like crazy. On Wednesday, it's Ashley Edward Miller.
Hold on. It says you're shit out of luck.
Wow, you're like, Kurt Russell doing Clint Eastwood.
There you go. Well, you don't want to see that.
On Tuesday, it's DAREN Doctorman.
I don't know which direction I'm going, but I'm just going to do any which way I can.
You're not going east by Eastwood Wink? Okay, so, and then finally, that brings us to Monday, to Mr. Steve Melching.
Mark, we all got it coming.
I liked your original line better.
I did too.
Oh my God, in case you haven't guessed yet, not only are we doing a week of Clint Eastwood movies, but this is the season finale of season 4 of the 430 movie. Of the Thor movie.
The Thor footy movie.
She sells by the seashore.
I'm Kevin Kline in a fish called Kukawanda. So,
look, it's Mark. He's gonna kill me.
Okay, so anyway, this is the season finale. But here's the good news: we've already been renewed for a 5th season.
Have we?
So,
oh, thank goodness!
Yeah.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
I didn't want to stop paying off my summer home.
We'll be back at the end of October. The end of October with an all new 5th season. Wow. And here's the rub.
What's the rub?
Here's the rub. Are you ready? What? Should we spoil it for people? Guess what?
What?
It's a tabula rasa. We're wiping the slate clean. Every movie is now eligible for all new theme weeks on the 430
passing
movie.
The savings on to you.
So this will be the last time that movies previously picked on the podcast are not eligible. Now, there are a few.
We get to the second episode of the 5th season, in which case the movies picked for the first week are no longer eligible.
You are absolutely correct. On Tuesday. So, there are a couple of movies that aren't eligible, and I obviously Unforgiven was picked before for Western Week. Steve, can you tell us what other movies of Clint Eastwood's oeuvre are not eligible this week?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of really great ones. It's tough. I had to dig a little deeper this week because we've already selected, I believe Ashley selected For a Few Dollars More for Western Week. And I selected The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, one of my all-time favorites. You mentioned Unforgiven. Ashley also picked Kelly's Heroes, I believe. And what else?
And I think Where Eagles Dare was picked for
maybe.
And I know I picked the Gauntlet for Vegas Week.
Yeah. You did. You recently picked the Gauntlet for Vegas Week. No danger of that showing up today anyway. But so there are a bunch of movies that have been picked. But the amazing thing is, given the huge career of Clint Eastwood, so many great movies that haven't been picked. And, you may say, why Clint Eastwood? Well, just this month, he kind of announced his retirement. Kind of. Yeah. I mean, what'd you make of that announcement, guys? Steve?
I didn't realize he had made an announcement. I just saw that he had the new movie coming out. What's it called? Oh, God.
Cry Macho.
Yeah. The trailer looked cool. I mean, I'm in. But I didn't realize they'd made an announcement regarding
Ashley's mantra, Cry Macho.
I was surprised to see all the Village people in the trailer.
It was a reunion tour. Look, if Clint wants to announce his retirement, then by God, that man is allowed to announce his retirement. He is a machine.
But he didn't exactly announce his retirement. He said something about there comes a time to leave the stage gracefully, which everyone interpreted as meaning he was retiring, but he didn't quite say that. So I don't know if he's saying he's not going to be on camera, but he might still direct, or if he's retired. I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't.
Well, I mean, good Lord.
What do you mean nobody knows?
Is he 91?
Yeah.
91.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Shatner could direct 8 movies in a week, and he's 90. So I mean, look, as you said, he's had an incredible career. Steve will tell us a little bit more about it. I mean, it goes back to Revenge of the Creature, doesn't it? I mean, that was his first.
And Tarantula, where he was uncredited as a jet fighter pilot attacking the giant tarantula menacing the American Southwest.
Yeah.
The guy's done everything from giant monster movies to westerns to thrillers to, he's an icon of not only acting, but directing.
But he became famous on television.
Right.
Yep.
For the TV series Rawhide at a time where few people made the jump from television to movies. It was very bifurcated. If you were a TV star, you were a TV star. You're a movie star, you're a movie star.
You're
a lot of people,
Jeff Hunter or William Shatner.
or Rick Dalton.
Yeah.
So you didn't quite make the jump. So
Rick Dalton's not real.
But Clint Eastwood, and not only Clint Eastwood make the jump from actor to movie star, TV actor to movie star, but also to an Academy Award winning director.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And by all accounts, and mayor of Carmel.
That's right.
Yes.
He's done a lot of jobs.
He's going to be mayor.
and by all accounts, a delight to work with. Anyone who's been on his crew or actors who worked with him, because he's quick, he's on time, he doesn't mess around, he expects everybody to do their jobs. But he's the anti-Kubrick in a sense. He'll do like 2 takes and then move on.
And he does that many. There's a great story, and I'm trying to remember. It was something Troy Baker told us. I can't remember who the actor was, but was talking about being on a film with him. The cast was there. They were going through rehearsal, and cameras were rolling on rehearsal. And Clint was like, "Okay, cut, moving on." And the actor was like, "But that was rehearsal." And Clint says, "Well, is there something you would have done differently?" No. okay. And they just moved on.
Yeah, I heard a similar story. Like after take one, the actor's like, well, don't you want to go again? He's like, why? It was good. You want to just waste everyone's time?
Right.
It's so funny. You all sound like Brett Goldstein and Ted Lasso.
No.
Oh my God. So, okay. So we're going to do a week of Clint Eastwood. It is the 4th season finale of the 4:30 movie. And of course, I want to remind you, Cartoon Barroom will be back next month to fill the gap, the void, the gaping hole in your life. So you want to check out Ashley and Steve's animation podcast on the Electric Now channel.
Nobody fills a gaping hole like we do.
Wow.
Did I say that wrong? Is that not the tagline?
And I'm excited to announce also that I'm going to just leap right over that. Inglorious Trek Experts will be entering its 4th season next month, which is very exciting. And we have a new Trexpert on the dais. Of course, that I'm referring to none other than Ashley Miller, who is officially knighted as a real boy, as a real Trexpert in the Las Vegas Star Trek Comic-Con. He was presented with an authentic certificate. I validated the signatures myself, and he is now a real Trexpert, no longer a guest. He's no longer Jonathan Harris. He is.
Well, he's still Jonathan Harris.
He's more like a George Takei or Walter Koenig.
He's more machine now than man. Twisted.
Right. Well, it was dark. We were drunk. Things happened. And there you go. Live long and prosper.
I don't think that's true.
I know it wasn't true. Anyway, yeah. And, Steve, we missed you in Vegas. So hopefully when there's a movie convention, we can all go. I mean, I'm so excited because, of course, Steve is leaving for the Telluride Film Festival this week. And it's really one of the most remarkable film festivals because it celebrates the art of cinema. It's less about prognostication of awards and about stars.
There's no paparazzi there. There's no deal making happening. It's just a celebration of world cinema, and it's gotten more mainstream in recent years. They've happened to program the films that won Best Picture every year for like the last 8 or 10 years. Yeah. But it's a great mix of really great, wonderful independent films, some smaller studio films, foreign films, classics. One of my favorites is the silent film. They'll usually show a restored silent film with the live musical accompaniment. Although this year it won't be by the Alloy Orchestra because they have
broke
disbanded.
They're like the Beatles.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lennon and McCartney went their separate ways.
So now they've broken down into their essential metals.
Yeah. Unalloyed.
You could say that they've gone silent.
But all the filmmakers always attend, and the stars, and they're just hanging around town. And Mark and I have many memories of seeing
wonderful
George
memories.
Clooney at the bar at the the hotel in downtown, or Peter O'Toole riding a bicycle down Main Street,
and swerving out of the way of 2 people coming the other way and then crashing and dying. Oh no, wait, that was Lawrence of Arabia.
Or encountering Stellan Skarsgård in a dark alley, which I don't recommend.
No, especially if you're a super shark.
Especially he was possessed by the. Never mind. I was going to make a Marvel joke.
But I believe Clint Eastwood was an honoree at the Telluride Film Festival.
Oh, he most certainly was.
Winners. Yeah.
How could he not be?
Yeah.
Look, a lot of great people have been honored in the history of Telluride. Some not great people. But always a special place in my heart. I met my wife at Telluride. It was a fantastic festival.
That's a song.
And yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So we'll be talking more about Telluride in a special episode after Labor Day, where Steve will fill us in on what he's seen at the Telluride Film Festival, which is guaranteed to be a highly rated episode of the 430 movie. But I think it's going to be very interesting. We hope you'll tune in. So that'll be a special bonus episode coming in September where Steve tells us about his trip to the Telluride
Let's talk
Film
about
Festival.
the bonus situation.
You deserve full shares.
One day I would like to go back to Telluride. But right now, we're going to talk about Eastwood.
We're heading east.
Clint Eastwood. And as always, we start on Monday with Steve Melching with his pick for Clint Eastwood movie on Monday.
Well, I'm gonna ease into Monday with a film that is that I thought was terrific when it came out, and it got some attention when it came out. But it's kind of it's not one that people talk about a lot of in Clint Eastwood's career. It's a film that he initially was just going to direct, but the star of the film convinced him to play one of the lead supporting roles in the film. And it's a movie from 1993 that was named the Cahiers du Cinema's best film of that year. And it stars Kevin Costner. It's A Perfect World.
Me and you got a lot in common, Philip. Both of us is handsome devils. We both like RC Cola. And neither one of us got an old man worth a damn.
8-year-old Philip Perry has just been taken hostage.
Are you gonna shoot me?
Oh, yeah.
By the most dangerous man in West Texas.
Put the gun down, old timer. You couldn't hit me anyway. Probably shoot the boy. Get in the car, Philip.
This could be his lucky day.
That's my car!
Complicating law enforcement attempts to apprehend him, Haynes is believed to have an 8-year-old boy with him as hostage.
This is not a penal escape situation. This happens to be a manhunt.
You know, Philip, you have an American right to eat cotton candy, ride roller coasters. You got a phone?
No.
You go inside, lie down till we're gone.
I told that judge to send them up. I told him it was the right thing to do.
Kevin Costner.
You're not bad, are you, Butch?
Oh, yeah.
Clint Eastwood.
At least now we know who's in charge.
In a new film by Academy Award-winning director, Clint Eastwood.
You ever ridden in a time machine before? Out there, that's the future. And back there, well, that's the past. This is the present, Philip. Enjoy it while it lasts.
A Perfect World.
Directed by Clint Eastwood, written by John Lee Hancock, who also wrote some of Clint Eastwood's other movies like Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. He also wrote The Blind Side, The Rookie, and The Founder. The DP was Jack N. Green, who's also done a frequent Clint Eastwood collaborator behind the camera. Produced by Mark Johnson, who's produced everything, and David Valdez, who was Clint Eastwood's producer at Malpeso, I believe. It starred Kevin Costner, and Clint Eastwood, Laura Dern, and Bradley Whitford, who when I'd seen the film, I hadn't seen The West Wing yet, so it was weird to see Josh Lyman playing this really nasty FBI sharpshooter. For those of you who haven't seen it, and I'm assuming that's probably a lot of you, it's the story of Kevin Costner plays a convict in a Texas jail who escapes with his cellmate, and they go on the run in Texas and take an 8-year-old boy hostage, played by T.J. Lowther. And this boy is a Jehovah's Witness. His family is Jehovah's Witnesses, so he's never been able to experience a lot of the normal childhood things. Like as the film opens, it's Halloween, and the boy and his family and his siblings are not allowed to go trick or treating. They have to stay in the house, and they're the weird family that has the lights off. So Costner and his henchmen take this boy hostage and go on the run. And Clint Eastwood plays the Texas Ranger who is tasked with tracking these desperados down with the aid of Laura Dern, who plays a criminologist. It really feels like it's sort of a Jodie Foster, Silence of the Lambs type character with the young female expert on criminology going along to help sort of profile these criminals and figure out where they're going to go. And then Bradley Whitford is the FBI agent who's sent along with them ostensibly to take them out. It was filmed all on location across Texas. And I always really like this movie because the characters, there's a lot of ambiguity in the characters, and there's a lot of interesting connections between Clint Eastwood's character and Kevin Costner's character, and the really special relationship that develops between Costner and the boy, who Costner allows this boy to experience a lot of the things he hasn't been allowed to experience, and given permission to be a kid. It's funny, it's suspenseful, occasionally heartwarming without being sentimental, and I just think it's a really solid little movie.
I agree. I think that's a really good pick. I think that was the follow-up, his follow-on to Unforgiven.
Yeah.
And I remember going to see it, with that lens in mind, to sort of see how much of, what Eastwood had become through Unforgiven kind of found its way into A Perfect World. And I think you can definitely see that, A Perfect World is it's another Western, right? It's like he is still in a mode where he is trying to reinvent the Western, which I think is something that he does a lot in his career as a director. He keeps coming back to that in different ways, sometimes incredibly successfully, sometimes less successfully. But I thought that A Perfect World was really good. It was, like you said, it was surprisingly affecting, and the tension was good. And look, when Costner is properly channeled, he's great, and he's great in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't try and predict what you were going to pick, Steve, because I would have been very wrong. That's
one out of the park.
Yeah, good choice, but it's not what I expected you to pick. So I'll tell you on Friday if nobody's picked it what I thought your pick was going to be. But I don't think anyone is going to pick it. But I don't want to be presumptuous, so I'll wait and say what I think.
Are you going to stereotype me and say I was going to pick Space Cowboys?
I did not think you were going to pick Space Cowboys.
But somebody
not think any. Okay.
Did I say I was gonna? No, I didn't. But I did say somebody might.
Which is a great way to start the week on Monday. The pick is Perfect World, and that takes us to Tuesday and DAREN R. DOCHTERMAN.
Well, Tuesday brings us to the world of it's something that was very big in the 60s and 70s, but it's not so anymore. I think it's the world of radio. And in 1971, Clint Eastwood directed a film that is a pretty much equal parts of Fatal Attraction and Misery. And it is called Play Misty for Me.
Play Misty for me.
For Clint Eastwood, an invitation to terror.
You ever find yourself being completely smothered by somebody?
There's no escape in passion. There's no escape in speed. There's no escape from terror.
You will change the locks, huh?
Nobody asked you to wait for it.
You're not dumping me, Buster Blue-Eye!
Get off my back, Evelyn.
The most terrifying words you'll ever hear. Play Misty for me. The screen's most frightening plunge into terror.
Have to get you all nice for David. I hope he likes what he sees when he walks in here. Because that's what he's taking to hell with him.
Just hope we're lucky enough to grab her the next time she tries it.
Tries what?
To kill you.
The next scream you hear will be your own.
Clint Eastwood plays this radio DJ who does this nighttime record spin and show. Records are, well, you know what records are. They're vinyl. Remember vinyl? And
the kids know all about vinyl. That's the
kids know about vinyl now. They don't know about cassettes or reel-to-reel, but that's next month. So it's this really scary movie. The setup doesn't really prepare you for that, but it is. He begins taking calls from this listener who makes requests and starts edging the conversation into a little more personal area and some flirtation, let's say. And it turns into something extremely horrible. This fan is what we would call in the vernacular a nut job. And
super fan.
She's a super fan.
She was at Star Trek Las Vegas last week.
That's right.
Yeah.
She obsesses about him and tracks him down and begins to do horrible things to his life. And it's really creepy. It's really scary, and it's a lot of fun. And the early 70s weren't a lot of fun for anybody, but this was, Jessica Walter, who we all know from various things, specifically Sequest. No.
ESV.
She plays the fan, and she's amazing. And
she's always amazing. She was great in Arrested Development. What a loss this year.
Absolutely.
It's so sad because she is just, she was a national treasure, Jessica Walter.
But it's fun to see Clint Eastwood, this big tough guy, in serious peril, and it's hilarious in that aspect. But I think it's really surprising. It's a really surprising movie, and it's unexpected the same as surprising. I think it's a little different, but it sure is fun to watch, and it's one of his early directorial efforts. But
I think it's his first film, wasn't it?
It's his first film. Yeah. It's his first film. Yeah, but not his last.
There is some talk that he contributed to directing a couple of the spaghetti westerns.
Maybe so.
So
yeah, but it's his first credited director.
It's first credited, yes, absolutely.
And it is great. I actually had it pegged as Mark's pick.
Did you?
Yep.
You'd be wrong.
Yeah, but now I have my second pick for your pick. But I'm not going to say what it is. But you know what? It's not Space Cowboys.
Very few movies are Space Cowboys.
So few.
It's a great. I don't like Space Cowboys, but Shatner isn't in it. So, Mr. Dochterman, that was a great pick. And now we move on to Wednesday and Ashley Edward Miller.
Odin's Day.
So,
Wednesday.
Brace yourself. This is why they're installing seatbelts in theaters this summer
to keep the audience from leaving. Yeah,
go ahead,
guys.
Make my Wednesday.
There is only one way to introduce Wednesday. 3 little words that mean so much to me and so much to America. Words that began a genre that I really think require a resurgence, a reinvention in American cinema. And those words are right turn, Clyde. The pick for Wednesday is Eastwood's first foray into action comedy, Every Which Way But Loose.
Oh, raining again.
You want to do something this evening?
Of course not. Well, not this evening. It's raining now. I want to get out now.
How about taking in a new movie?
Okay. What'd you have in mind?
Hey, babe, what do you think of Clint Eastwood?
Oh, I think of him a lot.
This squirrel's ripping off peanuts. Ain't you, squirrel?
Can you imagine Clint Eastwood punching out a wise guy or laying out a bunch of guys who get out of line?
Well, of course I can.
Can you picture him falling hard for a sweet young thing who's got her eye on him?
Oh, sure. That's easy.
How about him fighting for money?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Can you see him allowing a woman to beat up on him?
Oh, now you're putting me on.
In my thoughts, you're always with me.
Well, what do you think of Clint Eastwood confiding his deepest, darkest secrets to an orangutan?
When it comes to sharing my feelings with a woman, my stomach just turns to royal gelatin.
Well, what do you think now?
Now you're really kidding me.
It's no joke. It's Eastwood like you've never seen him before. In a new film called
Every Which Way But Loose, you turn me. Every which way but loose. Inside the fire's burning me. In my mind you just keep turning me.
There can't be too many guys driving around this valley with an ape.
Every which way but loose. Baby, there's no excuse.
Hey, you like to fight?
Oh, I used to. Better than anything. Well, almost to.
Inside the fire's burning me. In my mind you just keep turning me.
Oh, stop that, you baboon. No respect, no privacy.
Every which way but loose.
Every which way you look, there's action, adventure, and fun. Clint Eastwood will turn you
every which way but loose.
1978, directed by James Fargo, co-starring Sandra Locke, who basically played a psychotic in almost every movie that she was in with Clint Eastwood. And then she became involved with him and played a psychotic. So it's kind of life imitating art. Look, I'm not going to tell you that I think this is a great film, but I will tell you that I think that it's great fun. First of all, I think the world needs more movies about truckers whose best friends are monkeys. Okay? Secondly, I think there is
technically he's an ape. Technically, that's an ape.
Yeah. But monkey's a more fun word, isn't it? It's a more fun word. It just rolls off the tongue. Ape doesn't. Ape just sort of sits there in your face. It's not as good.
So did Clyde.
So does Clyde. He sits on your face. Look, this movie is insane, man. But I'll tell you what I love about it. Number one, like I remember this movie on the ABC Sunday night movie and watching it with my dad. And that was just the best, man, because I loved that there were all those crazy bikers who had the worst patches in the world. And I loved that all of the bare knuckle fighting, which I think weirdly kind of percolated into my love for that kind of violence in movies, period.
And real life.
And real life. Because God knows, when we were in Vegas, all those fist fights that I got into, those were crazy, you guys. Remember, Mark, when I punched out the lady who hit you with the scooter? That was awesome.
Wish you had.
Me too, because that would have made
my leg still hurts, man. I'm still limping.
There are just this movie. I don't know that I would say that it has a plot, but to the extent that it does, Clint Eastwood meets Sandra Locke. She is a would-be up-and-coming amateur country western singer. There's a lot of country music in this movie, so if that's not your jam,
it's not.
It's not Mark's jam. But it's just a little bit. It's a trigger warning right there.
She's the best country singer this side of Lurleen.
Damn right. The thing is, Philo Beto, our hero, kind of falls in love with her, thinks she's kind of a damsel in distress because there's Scotty the shotgun, who she used to date. He comes after her and him with a shotgun, but he's not a very good shot. And then, one night, like she and her hamper up and disappear, and he's a little bit concerned about her because he's in love, and he and his brother go on a journey from LA, from like basically Sherman Oaks, out to freaking Denver, Colorado, to find her. And they take Clyde, and along the way, his brother and Clyde, they find love. There are just insane things together. There are insane things that happen in this movie. Honestly, I think my favorite is when his mom is sitting on her porch. Some bikers show up. They're looking for him. They're pissed off because like he keeps running over their bikes or stealing them and screwing them up or punching them in the face. And they pull a support pillar out of her front porch. And she's sitting there on her front porch with a shotgun, and she starts blowing up motorcycles. And bikers are just scattering. It's fantastic. An old lady fights a biker gang, and it's, shall I say it, in a movie with an ape? Bananas. There's a scene where they decide that Clyde really, quote, needs to get laid. So they take him to the Albuquerque City Zoo. And Clyde wanders. They just do a long shot. He comes down a corridor. Clyde finds a door. He opens the door. There's an orangutan behind the door. Clyde turns to camera and goes, ook, ook, and he closes the door. It's fantastic. You can't help but love this movie. And just revel in the insanity of it. Exactly. I would want to see Clint Eastwood in a goddamn Planet of the Apes movie. That's what I want to see. And look, everybody told Clint, don't do this movie. It came to him because somebody was trying to get it to Burt Reynolds, but Clint was like, it looked like something for him. Everybody told him, like, don't do it. It'll destroy your career. It'll be the end of you. And it was a box office monstrosity, leading to a sequel any which way you can. And who the hell knows what that's about, except there's a monkey and there's more punching. Right. How bad can it possibly be?
And of course, it led to the TV show BJ and the Bear.
Yes, it did. And the mighty Sheriff Lobo, who had his own spinoff. Right? I mean, come on,
Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo.
Damn right it was.
Absolutely.
This was a cultural watershed. And I think the reason why Clint did it, and what I love about this movie in the Clint Eastwood oeuvre is, look, Kelly's Heroes is very funny. And you know, Clint is the straight man, right? Like Clint doesn't know that he's in a comedy. And it's just, there's just something about it, right? It's like a Brian G. Hutton joint, and it's basically the Where Eagles Dare guy, and it's awesome. But this is something different. This is a completely different side of Clint that I think audiences hadn't seen. So oddly, I think it was important for his career because it kind of took that man with no name and made him a little more accessible.
And it gave him a funny name.
It gave him a funny name. And it gave him a monkey. A monkey who needed to get laid, and a mom with a shotgun. Right?
And a whole new generation of young fans.
Damn right it did. Damn right it did. Yeah, so Wednesday it has my full-throated endorsement of no, every which way but loose. Which
I gotta tell you, okay. I have been so entertained during this segment watching the myriad expressions passing over Altman's face, the grimaces, the eye rolling. It's absolutely hilarious.
It's
delicious. That's why you need to download the Electric Now app.
The 12 levels of disgust.
First, admit your powerlessness before your disgust.
Listen, we did a dopey week called Monkey Business Week, right?
And I could have picked that.
You had your opportunity for frivolous, dopey movies. But instead, when we have all these great movies, things that he's nominated for Academy Awards, directing, brilliant performances, incredible, iconic Westerns, you pick a dopey monkey movie.
Is there a sign over my head that says Tuesday?
Does
it say Monday? No, but the sign over my head says Wednesday. If there's ever going to be a day for a dopey monkey movie in Clint Eastwood Week, it's going to be Wednesday. If it's Wednesday, it must be Wednesday. Hook, hook.
Because Ashley goes every which way but loose on Wednesday. Oh,
damn right.
Oh, man.
Philo Beto, what a name.
I'm so
Mark
depressed.
quit. Mark just quit the podcast.
No. Look,
luckily, it's the last episode of the season.
It's a cliffhanger.
In the 5th season, Mark Altman will be played by an orangutan.
to steal a phrase from someone on this podcast, here's the thing. My job is to tie everything in a nice, neat bow on Thursday to sort of balance the week, you know, and you made that so much more difficult. Steve, you know, picked a good directorial effort, you know, very credible movie for Monday, you know, a little underseen gem. Excellent, right? Okay. Fantastic choice by Darren for Tuesday. You know, Clint Eastwood's directorial debut. Jessica Walter passed away this year. Another underseen great thriller that was inspiration for many movies to come. Okay, great. So we're cranking now. We had two very solid picks. but we hadn't hit the Westerns and we hadn't hit the role that made him most famous. Then you come up with the monkey movie and it throws everything off. Because I'm like, am I going to go with the movie franchise that made him famous in the 70s for a whole different thing? Or am I going to go with the Western? No, so it's like, is it Dirty Harry? Is it for a few dollars more? Is it High Plains Drifter? I had 3 films to, figure it out. But then you mess up the whole system. The whole court is out of order.
It was at this point. It was at this point in the podcast where Mark became Gary Marshall.
Not even. Look, and that's not even to speak of like In the Line of Fire, like a solid work for hire movie directed by someone else, where he comes in and is just great in a role like, In the Line of Fire, for Wolfgang Peterson. But no, that has no place on this week because we have 2 spots left. There are 2 lights, two slots. And now how do we
gall you the most? When this episode comes out and the most excited feedback we get for any of the picks is going to be for Every Which Way But Loose.
That's not going to, it's not going to gall me. You know why that's not going to gall me? Because I'm going to say, it's a bunch of rednecks. I'm not going to care. So, a bunch of unvaccinated rednecks. But, so anyway, the point being, it's okay to have grown up and loved those movies as a kid. There's nothing wrong with it. But to pick when we're curating a great week, the elegy for an amazing career. We're wrapping it up in a bow. We're trying to honor this great filmmaker and artist, and we're going to do that with the monkey movie.
And it was one of his most popular movies.
That's right, one of his most popular movies, but not one of his best. One of his most popular. And as we know, box office appeal doesn't necessarily correspond with quality.
But a movie that absolutely would have been on the 4:30 movie back in the day.
100%.
You could say that. That is a viable argument to pursue.
You're forgetting the premise of the show.
I won't. No, I'm not, because I'm in a really shitty position. Because Ashley's put me in a really shitty position right now.
No, you weren't going to pick that.
There's no way you were going to pick that.
No, I mean, look, I had to decide between the Western and Dirty Harry, because look, the Dirty Harry franchise is a law of diminishing returns. Dirty Harry is great. Mm-hmm. Okay, the Enforcer and Magnum Force are okay. Sudden Impact, other than the scene that everybody remembers, not a good movie. Right. And the Deadpool, the less said about it, the better. Mm-hmm. Right? So yeah. So, but Andy Robinson is so great in Dirty Harry. I kind of was thinking I want to go there. Then I'm kind of thinking, well, how can we not represent him with a Western? I mean, he, in a way, sort of defined the postmodern Western with the Sergio Leone picks. Now, of course, we had picked Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We had picked Fistful of Dollars. No, did we pick a few dollars more, or did we pick
for a few dollars more?
Oh,
because that was my favorite of the 3.
Fistful, yeah.
Because you like
that good.
Fistful of Monkey.
Fistful of Monkeys.
You like watches. You're a man who likes watches. So okay. So then would it be High Plains Drifter, which is interesting because it's his American version of a Leone Western. Right. He makes that in America, and extra points because the luminous Mariana Hill is in it. That's from Dagger in Mind.
It's kind of an American version of a Leone film by way of a Fellini film. It's it's pretty bananas. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
It's pretty bananas, and I kind of really dig High Plains Drifter. But because I'm so outraged and I'm just throwing caution to the wind, I find this whole week a disaster. I'm going to go outside the box too. And I'm going to pick a directorial effort that you would not necessarily associate with Clint Eastwood, but I'm going to pick it because it has a very memorable line and one of the great character names. Now, where everything's based on character names on this show, I'm going to pick the star which starred Clint Eastwood as Mitchell Gant. The line, think in Russian. The movie, Firefox.
Yeah! Woo! Wow. I'm so excited that
There you go.
The plane,
Firefox, the most devastating killing machine ever built.
The weapon system is one of the most advanced ever conceived, with a thought-guided, thought-controlled arsenal on board the plane. If the Soviets can mass-produce it, it will change the structure of our world.
The man, Mitchell Gant, the most daring U.S. fighter pilot ever to fly a plane.
There's not a one of you who think I have a chance in the world of pulling this off, is it?
Don't say anything. Just fly the damn plane. I'm a tiger.
Mitchell Gant.
The mission, steal Firefox.
Gant, can you fly that plane?
Yeah, I can fly it. I'm the best there is.
Great mother of God, he's up!
I'm speaking to the individual who has stolen the property of the USSR.
But we're getting the royal treatment.
You will not, of course, make it to wherever you are going.
Let's see what this baby can do.
Captain, he's coming straight in.
I don't know what it is, but I'm a sitting duck.
We have done it. We have brought down the American.
Well, that's it. We might as well all go home.
We don't know.
The hell we don't know. They got him, Aubrey.
I don't know. That could mean they didn't get him. That could mean they didn't get him. That could mean they didn't get him.
Clint Eastwood in one of the most incredible undercover operations in history, Firefox.
Let me tell you something.
A Clint Eastwood movie that spawned a video game.
That's right.
Indeed it did. And it was a video game. But what people forget, because they were all renting the Warner Home Video to watch the last 20 minutes where John Dykstra did the Death Star trench scene with a Soviet MiG that can listen to your mind and as stealth. You forget that the first 3 hours of that movie or whatever it feels like is a really good espionage thriller where Clint Eastwood, Mitchell Gant, has to go undercover to infiltrate the Soviet Union because he's the only man who could fly the Firefox back to America from its secret base in the Soviet Union. And the espionage story is actually surprisingly good. It's based on a book. And then, when you were 8 years old, the Firefox stuff was really good. Now it's kind of dopey. But dopey is apparently the middle name of this week. So I'm going to go with Firefox, directed by Clint Eastwood, and starring Clint Eastwood as Mitchell Gant.
I really dig Firefox, and both of the things that you're talking about, I dig the espionage thriller that's in there, and I dig that it's kind of about this. If you think about the time that it was made, Mitchell Gant is suffering from PTSD, from Vietnam flashbacks, all this stuff. And it doesn't really shy away from that. It's not leaning into being what it would be if you made it today, right? What are the action beats as he breaks into the base and he steals and that's cool. And I also, I tried to kit bash the Firefox out of model airplane kits and build that. Not easy, but it was so fun to try and do it. It was one of my friends had a camera, and we tried to shoot it and figure it out. So that had a big impact on me.
But you can't film it as stealth.
Well, the camera just wouldn't pick it up. It's so weird. But no, I think that's a great pick.
But it did inspire an internet browser. So
it did. That's right. It reads your mind and it flies like this.
Think in Russian. But
I remember the video game as being kind of revolutionary because didn't it use film footage?
Yeah. And the computer generated plane was above that, and you would control that and try and match it up to the footage. It was really well done. It was a good game.
Yeah.
That's what I remember most. I thought the plane. I agree with Ashley. The plane was super cool looking. I really like that plane, and I like the video game. And the movie, I remember, I think I saw it twice when it came out.
that scene on this is the strangest thing to remember, except that there's the scene on the freaking escalator. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, those escalators are just hugely tall. And I think the reason it stuck with me is that I actually was on that escalator a couple of years later when I was on this tour of the Soviet Union. All I could think about was Firefox. But
they didn't film in the Soviet Union.
Yes,
so
I know, but it was actually a pretty realistic depiction of what that is. Like,
well, it's so great because he's not superhuman in that movie.
Right.
Like, he's really, obviously he's suffering from the anxiety of PTSD, but then even when he's there, and they murder the guy that he's impersonating, he's like freaking out. And then when he has, they try and close down the subway station and they're hunting for him and he accidentally murders the Russian. He's terrified.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do, but he keeps moving forward. And, there's a lot of real genuine suspense that he minds. And it's actually very well directed, the movie. And I think, it's a little unappreciated Cold War thriller, but then, sort of becomes Star Wars, on the North Pole. But it's really, it's really fun and underappreciated, and he's really good in it. And it has the main title character named Mitchell Gant.
Well, you kind of breezed over it, but that the conceit of the helmet that can sort of read your mind impulses but you have to think in Russian in order for it to understand you is pretty
great
cool.
trick.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And then also, it's amazing how much the Firefox actually looks like what would be eventually revealed as
a fighter.
As a stealth fighter. I mean, it's really, really cool. I mean, it's a great design. Maybe it should be in Starship Smackdown one day.
Not a Starship, Mark.
Okay, but maybe the Starship captain, maybe it'll be stolen by Mitchell Gant.
Captain Mitchell Gant. Was he a captain? Please, God, tell me he was a captain.
I hope so, because maybe he can be in Starship Smackdown one day. Thinking Klingon.
He's here to steal your ride.
Stealing the Enterprise. Wait, where are they going with the ship? We were going to steal it. No, that's Mitchell Gant. So anyway, my pick for Thursday, because I've apparently gone completely insane, thanks to Ashley, is Firefox, which brings us to Friday.
Right.
And we got a really difficult job ahead of us, don't we, boys?
Oh, boy.
We do. I mean, first of all...
Do we just say bag it and go for another goofy one, or do we try to bring it back around and redeem ourselves?
We got to redeem ourselves. It got to be like Mystic...
Mystic
Pizza. Mystic... It got to be...
A movie that has nothing to do with Clint Eastwood.
What's this? It got to be like redeem ourselves crap.
Yeah, that's
Mystic
right.
River. It got to be like Mystic
Even
River.
I were fine.
I was Wednesday. It's my job.
Freeze you.
I'm going to nominate Back to the Future 3, in which Marty McFly plays Clint Eastwood in the Old West.
That's not an insane pick.
Steve, you know what I thought? Steve, you know what I thought your pick for Monday was going to be?
Yeah, what?
White Hunter, Black Heart.
You know what? That was going to be my pick. I hadn't seen it in. Now my damn phone is ringing. I hadn't seen it in.
It's John Huston. He's pissed.
Right.
Oh, Steve.
It's a survey or something.
Good
but I really liked White Hunter, Black Heart. I think I talked about it on the show during Bogart Week. And I hadn't seen it in such a long time, and I really wanted to watch it again before I solidified it as my pick. And it's not an easy film to find, so I wasn't able to watch it. So I watched Perfect World instead. But
not an easy film to see, I guess.
It is a terrific. I remember it being a terrific movie. I really liked it. He both stars in and directs. This sort of a.
Kind of a
based on a loose, based on the filming of John Huston filming.
Right. Based on the things that John Huston could remember while filming.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, clearly, Friday is going to be Space Cowboys.
Yeah,
given the way this is going. But no,
we should just call this week Maurice.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I would argue that Friday should either be a Western or a Dirty Harry movie.
I kind of agree. I would say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Darren.
I would vote for the first Dirty Harry movie.
Yeah, I can totally get behind that. But I do think I actually totally agree with that pick. But I do think that it bears a couple of things bear mentioning. Number one, my backup, because I thought there was an outside chance that Steve would lose his mind and nominate Every Which Way But Loose.
So your backup was Paint Your Wagon. I know.
Yes, absolutely it was. No, it was Bronco Billy. My backup was actually High Plains Drifter. Because it's not a movie that, that the sort of the general audiences think about. They don't quite realize is in the oeuvre, but it's awesome. It's an awesome little revenge movie. And what's great about it is it kind of takes all of the tropes of the man with no name story, right? And it kind of puts them in this little town that he renames Hell. And everybody kind of recognizes him, right? And as the movie proceeds, you realize that, he's kind of there to protect the town and kind of deal with the guys who mess with the town. But by the same token, he is also slowly taking his revenge on everyone in it, and why. And the implication of the film by the end of it is like that it's the goddamn Sixth Sense, right? That there's this supernatural aspect to it. Now, it never comes out and says, this is what's going on. But the implication is just, it's so clear and it's so awesome. It's just like a great ghost story and a great Western. It's really well directed. He essentially tries to remake it in the late 80s as Pale Rider, which I don't think was nearly as good. But and Pale Rider was fine, but it wasn't anywhere in the it wasn't even in the same zip code as High Plains Drifter.
It was low place.
No, you've redeemed yourself, Ashley, because I completely agree with everything you said about High Plains Drifter. I think it's such a great prestige of what he did in the Leone Westerns, but putting a whole new sheen on it. And, in it, he even plays what's known in the credits as the Stranger, which is the equivalent of the man with no name. But it's weird. It's weird. It's supernatural and creepy and beautifully shot. I forget who directed it, who was the DP actually. But I really love it. It's probably it's certainly my favorite American Western of his, other than Unforgiven. So
he renames the town Hell.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the other film I almost picked was one I think I might have talked about briefly before, and that is Michael Cimino's Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, in which Eastwood stars with Jeff Bridges. And it's basically a bank robbery heist movie, and it's from the earlier mid '70s. Also I'd say kind of a Western. Kind of a modern Western.
Not to be confused with 10-Speed and Brown Shoe.
That's right.
But, there's a great Blu-ray available for Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
Also, I thought Flags of Our Fathers was impressive. And the fact that he shot the companion piece from the Japanese perspective, which was... what was that? Memories of Iwo Jima? Letters from Iwo Jima. Yeah. So, I mean, that was a fairly impressive duopoly that he did with those two films. But I would definitely still lobby for, I think, probably Dirty Harry or High Plains Drifter. It's like Outlaw Josie Wells to me isn't as good. Pale Rider is definitely not as good. And I really don't like Hang 'em High very much.
Yeah, well, Hang 'em High was, I think it was Ted Post who directed that. It was basically, it just played a little bit like TV. And it was kind of an attempt to kind of do that tone of the spaghetti westerns in America, but it didn't at all like have the style or the energy of those films, which is what I think Clint kind of got to on his own. I think Outlaw Josie Wales is great. But, like you said, it's like, I think High Plains Drifter is a more interesting movie in that.
Because Ted Post was a journeyman director. Like which Planet of the Apes movie did he do? There was not a lot of style. And I think what Eastwood did was he brought, he's no Sergio Leone in terms of his visual style, but he brought a vision to it. And Ted Post did not bring any kind of vision to Hang 'em High. It was just very perfunctory. Very
he just sort of shot the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many. I mean, did we say that we picked Where Eagles Dare?
I feel like we did, but I mean, can we get confirmation on that?
Let me take a quick look here.
Just a great little thriller based on an Alistair MacLean novel.
We have not selected Where Eagles.
Directed
so we picked Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly's Heroes, yeah.
But
we picked
did not
Heroes,
pick
also Brian Hutton. But Where Eagles Dare is great, man. It's like there's the scene where like they basically zip in and just, I mean, there's so many little things from that movie that have just found their way into action film language that we just take for granted. And
it's a smorgasbord of things to pinch from.
That's right.
Yeah, look, I think as much as Dirty Harry sort of made him this icon through the 70s and the way the 60s spaghetti westerns did, I think Where Eagles Dare is by far the best movie we're talking about. I mean, Where Eagles Dare is great. And Richard Burton and him are great together. And it's a terrific World War II caper film. And, I would definitely say it should be in the running for Friday for sure if we didn't pick it before.
And if Dirty Harry didn't exist.
Right. Because look, how could we possibly look? I think the math on this is not hard because it's 100 episodes, 5 movies a week, give or take a couple that we repeated. But roughly we can say that about 500 movies. And somehow we never picked freaking Dirty Harry. How the hell does that happen? It's like, did we pick 5 movies or did we pick 6? You said it yourself. And the thing is, Dirty Harry's a really good movie, and it is much smarter than people remember, I think. And that character is much more complex. I think we might have had a conversation about how great that hot dog scene is. Yeah. When he walks out, right? Because the man does not want to be in the middle of the violence. He's not hunting it down. He just wants to eat his goddamn hot dog. And these idiots are outside, and he's got to go do something about it. So he has to finish his hot dog and walk outside.
I think that was one of the taglines. I just want to eat my goddamn hot dog.
That would have been a great tagline. Just trying to eat my goddamn hot dog. But it's such a fantastic scene.
Instead, I got to take out my .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world. It could blow your head clean off.
It can shoot through a school. Name that movie.
No, it shoots through schools. That's from
Sledgehammer.
Nope.
No. Is that from
Naked Gun?
I can see it on the tip of your tongue, Darren.
No. Damn it.
I'll give you a hint.
Give me a hint.
Michael Keaton.
Yes. Johnny Dangerously.
Yes. Johnny Dangerously. The 88 Magnum.
That's right. It shoots through schools.
You freezing ice hole.
Farging ice hole.
You farging ice hole. I thought it was you freezing ice hole. There you go. Yeah, I mean, look, Dirty Harry's great. It's a classic. I think it is the role, other than The Man with No Name, most associated with Clint Eastwood. It created an entire genre. It's hard for me. It's hard to argue with, even though there are so many Clint Eastwood movies that I love, and clearly, even though I pick Every Which Way But Loose, I could probably spend the next couple of hours talking about Clint Eastwood movies.
I really wanted to see a Dirty Harry movie with Dirty Harry versus Charles Bronson.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's an anti-buddy cop movie. It's
like Joe Don Baker,
right? It's like that's what you kind of want to see. Is that?
Don't make me
Joe
shoot
Don
your
Baker.
death wish. Stand aside, Dirty Harry.
Go ahead, Death Blow.
I'm sorry.
So, what about the Dirty Harry movie that wasn't a Dirty Harry movie? Genevieve Bujold in Tightrope.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't a Dirty Harry movie.
We sort of blown right past Eastwood's more recent Oscar-winning, Oscar-nominated prestige movies like Mystic River, $1 Million Baby, Gran Torino, Richard Jewell, and Sully. All solid movies. Yet, I enjoyed them.
But they're
not particularly memorable or fun to watch.
They're not iconic. Yeah. That's the difference.
Yeah.
None of them are iconic.
I have always wanted to do a mashup of $1 Million Baby and Every Which Way But Loose, where Clint Eastwood plays a boxing trainer who refuses to teach an orangutan how to box. I'm not going to teach that orangutan how to box. I mean, come on. How great would that be? If you don't even need to shoot any more film, you could just make the trailer from what's out there.
Well, with all the fisticuffs in that movie, maybe that's like the behind the scenes, making of Every Which Way But Loose. You do it from the orangutan trainer's point of view.
That's right.
And Clint Eastwood, twist. Clint Eastwood was the one who trained him.
Damn right. $1 Million Monkey. Come on, guys.
$1 Million Monkey.
God. Oh, my God.
Well, Sully is my favorite
I'd like to take
Pixar movie.
a moment to apologize to Mr. Eastwood.
Oh, no. There's no apology. This is love. This is obviously love. You can't have this conversation that we're having right now if you don't love.
Look, it got to be Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Well, let me mention one other movie that, and it's a very probably completely forgotten Eastwood movie, but I always remember it because it was while he was making that movie that I actually met Clint Eastwood. He was shooting this film in the building that I was living in at the time when I was going to USC. I was living in an old hotel in downtown LA that the university bought and turned into student housing. And it had this huge, beautiful theater inside the hotel with a big stained glass dome ceiling and a beautiful stage. So Eastwood was there for a couple days shooting Bird, the Charlie Parker story. And one evening I was waiting outside on the sidewalk for the shuttle tram to take me to campus, and Clint stepped outside to smoke a cigar by himself, and we looked at each other, and I said hello, and he said, "How you doing?" So that was my brush with Eastwood.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Bird's a great little movie. I mean, Eastwood loves jazz, and that was his love letter to jazz. So a good movie. Probably wouldn't be my pick for Friday.
Well,
but
and I guess the other time I sort of met him, I was waiting in line to see Heartbreak Ridge at USC. It was screening as part of the 466 class, Charles Chaplin's Thursday night movie class, and I was a non-major, so I didn't get in. It was sold out. So they said if we waited around outside, they would let us stand in the back for the Q&A afterwards. So me and a couple friends were standing outside the theater on this dark, misty night, and suddenly out of the fog appears Clint Eastwood and Sandra Locke walking together. No security, no escorts or anything. They walk right up to the theater.
Security.
Yeah.
No, because he got a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world. That's wild. It was a dark and stormy night.
That's right.
It was we were just standing out there for like an hour and a half waiting for the movie to end, and then just out of the mist, there he comes, Clint Eastwood.
So you're just gonna all stand in the back.
Heard you got some questions.
How you doing?
Yeah, it's really sad he's retiring. He is a true movie star and a legend.
We'll see if he is. He may just surprise us.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. He'll make another Dirty Harry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's also, he had an office on the Warner Brothers lot for decades, and it's kind of a tour stop. I just remember walking past El Paso and seeing his there's Clint Eastwood's parking space.
It's always exciting to see on the tour. The thing people forget, because obviously now we think about the spaghetti westerns, but in the 70s, the Dirty Harry movies were huge, even more so than the Leone films. I think they haven't held up as well. So, and whereas the Leone movies are art, so they've sort of gone back up in people's estimation. But
before
the Dirty Harry movies,
before the blockbusters happened, they were the biggest thing in the 70s in the movies. Absolutely.
They were huge event pictures. Yep. And in the video stores where I'm sure, like where I used to work, I mean, those things you could I remember when Sudden Impact came out on home video. My God, all of them were just like always rented. Like they could not. Sudden Impact was a cultural phenomenon because, of course, Ronald Reagan famously quoted that "Make My Day,"
right.
And it was it was bigger than being a movie. It was like this hugely zeitgeist defining kind of a line. I mean, that was one of the most famous lines of all time.
They were bigger
part of the culture.
Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Improve the prospects for my afternoon.
And it's funny because that movie, that's not a very good movie, Sudden Impact, but everybody remembers that scene.
That's right.
And, and through the lens of today's viewer, I think those Dirty Harry movies would probably be even more what the kids call problematic, but at the time,
Yeah, well, you know what? I think kids are problematic. So
Yeah, me too.
they're amazingly entertaining, and Andy Robinson is so great. I mean, I remember when I saw Hellraiser for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Scorpio from Dirty Harry!" It's so good to see him, And then he was so brilliant as Garrick in Deep Space Nine. But he was really typecast after that movie.
Well, just because he looks like a freaking psycho.
But he is great.
Yeah. We saw him at Star Trek Las Vegas, and we were trying to avoid him because it was like there's Scorpio. Because without the prosthetics, he doesn't look like Garrick.
He was in my hit Netflix series, DOTA, Dragon's Blood.
There you go.
Dropped on Netflix back in March, with a second season coming up soon. Am I learning?
Be followed by his new TV series about a chimpanzee.
That's right. $1 Million Monkey.
$1 million monkey. What, Netflix passed? I don't believe it.
Right? It's hard to believe, but they did. Hulu wanted it too badly. You had us at right turn, Clyde.
It's called Bobo Monkey's Blood.
Okay. Well, I know we don't want the fourth season of the 4:30 movie to end, but I think we need to make a pick for Friday and wrap this thing up. So can we come to some kind of consensus? Steve Melching, what do you think?
I think we got to make our listeners' day and go
Darren?
with Dirty Harry.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great movie. I love it.
Ask you in
feel
agreement?
lucky, punks.
Okay, we have unanimity. Friday, it's Dirty Harry.
This is about a movie about a couple of killers. Harry Callahan. And a homicidal maniac. The one with the badge is Harry.
Oh!
There were a lot of reasons they called him Dirty Harry. And he kept inventing new ones.
Don't pass out on him yet. No.
That was a pretty good pinch you made yesterday. The chief was pleased.
He was, huh?
Yeah, he really was. He wanted me to tell you well done.
I can tell you how deeply moved I am.
How do you like that? I pass along a compliment? You could at least be a little bit polite. It might not even kill you to say thanks.
Much rather say thanks to a raise.
Hey, Harry, check communications. Something from Chicago. A gun nut.
I'm putting somebody with you.
Well, you know what happens to the guys that I've worked with. Dietrich's still in the hospital with a bullet in his gut, and Fanducci's dead.
Now, you're working with Gonzalez or you're not working. Now, that's straight from the 5th floor. You got it?
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But being this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Doesn't it drive your wife crazy?
No.
Maybe she got used to it.
No, she never did, really.
Well, what then?
She's dead.
Oh, please forgive me.
She was driving home late one night and a drunk crossed the center line. There's no reason for it, really.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Look, I want you to tell Chico that I understand, him quitting. I think he's right. This is no life for you two.
Why do you stay in it then?
I don't know. I really don't.
Send Inspector Callahan in. Mr. Mayor, Inspector Callahan. All right. Let's have it.
Have what?
Your report. What have you been doing?
Oh, well, for the past 3/4 of an hour, I've been sitting on my ass in your outer office, waiting on you.
Damn it all, Harry. That's the mayor you're talking to.
Clint Eastwood. Detective Harry Callahan. You don't assign him.
Stop!
To murder cases. You just turn him loose.
Now, what the hell is he doing up there?
That's quite a week, gentlemen.
It's
quite a week. So
this is a highly entertaining week.
We'll go through a lot this week. There's highs, there's lows, there's ins, there's outs.
There's high planes. There's low comedy.
So coming this week on the 4:30 movie, Steve, Monday.
Monday is Clint Eastwood and Kevin Costner in A Perfect World.
Tuesday, Darren Doctorman.
The radio's not your friend. Play Misty for me.
Wednesday, Ashley Edward Miller and friend.
Clint Eastwood and a freaking orangutan star in Every Which Way But Loose.
Thursday, we're all thinking in Russian, Firefox. And Friday, we're feeling lucky as we program Dirty Harry to end our 4th season. But fear not, your favorite and least favorite 4:30 movie hosts will all be back next season for season 5 starting this October.
For right
with
turn
all new
5.
weeks. So I want to encourage you to listen to the Cartoon Barroom over the next couple of weeks while we're off the air. Steve and Ashley will have a lot to say about animation, including my favorite Monsters, Inc. movie, Sully. And, and then, of course,
that's where he's a robot.
Yeah. And Darren, as I, as always, can be found hanging out at the Inglorious Trexperts, where we're talking Trek. And for those of you who missed the memo, we have a second Star Trek podcast called Trexperts Briefing Room, which we curate audio commentaries of significant Star Trek episodes. That's not part of Inglorious Trexperts. It's an entirely different podcast.
Altogether.
2 podcasts. Not the same show. Not the same show.
Not
2 shows.
Two.
No,
two.
not the same.
And noodles.
2. Exactly. And of course, check out on the Electric Now app the all-new Leverage After Show, where you can see the stars of the new hit series Leverage Redemption talk about the latest episodes of Leverage on IMDb TV. And Electric Now is available wherever you get your apps. And of course, if you want to let other people know how great the 4:30 movie is, please rate us 5 stars at your favorite podcast provider.
Not 4. We're done with 4.
We're done with 4. We're moving on to 5, baby. So we would appreciate anything you do, and we want to thank our audience. We've had a great year in terms of audience growth. Show's always done well, but we've been grown by leaps and bounds. I don't know what we did, but somehow people seem to have really found the show and are enjoying it.
They heard there would be monkeys. That's what happened.
They heard there would be a barrel full of monkeys. That's right. I think it was that Monkey Business Week that really turned people around. They said, what's this Citizen Kane shit? We want monkeys.
It's Citizen Kane with a monkey.
Yeah. It's like Lance Link, only different.
Yeah.
How did we move from Muppets to monkeys?
Easily. I don't know. But I'm excited for Muppet Week.
But we got to start preparing for our 5th season. We want to wish Steve Melching safe travels and healthy to the Telluride Film Festival. We'll be back with a special bonus episode when he returns to talk about all the great films he saw in Telluride. And until then, on behalf of Steve, Darren, Ashley, and myself, Mark Altman, Eyewitness News starts now.
This show is produced by Dean Devlin and Mark A. Altman and is an Electric Surge Network production.